Hello, everyone. It's Brian from McDuff's Cool Stuff. I've been an eBay seller since 1999, and today we're going to be taking a look at how to answer customer questions. Dear McDuff's Online, is this the bigger box to hold multiple Gloom games? And what's included in this listing? Trying to figure out if I already have stuff included. Looking for the big box to hold all my Gloom cards. Thanks. Now, I do know that I posted pictures of this game and the box and all of its contents for him to see. And I didn't want to come off with some snarky comments like, well, didn't you look at the pictures? As clearly you can see everything that's in the box there. No, I just kind of referred him to the pictures and say, this is what I have. And I didn't have a list of the contents of what is in the game. I tried looking it up and I wasn't able to find a table or contents of what's inside there for him to see. The game's only selling for around $14 or $15, and I did let him know that if there's any problems with the game, that he could always return it. You know, I'd make arrangements for him to return the game if he was unhappy with it or if there's something missing. Now, I have over 450 games that I am currently selling and listing. And so I don't have time to exactly go through every one and catalog everything that's in there. I do know the person that owned them before me, and I know he took really good care of them. So I'm very confident that these are complete. And if there's anything that's missing, it's pretty obvious if it's not in there. So I was very confident everything was in there. I just exactly know, what does his Gloom card collection look like, or what is he trying to put in this box and all. So I'll let him make that decision. If he's unhappy with it, he can always return it. Let's take a look at the next one. How much for sending to Mexico, Guadalajara? Now, I sometimes get these questions from out of the U.S. buyers, people in other countries, and the reason why they can't see the shipping is oftentimes they log into the U.S. eBay site and not the one of their own home country. And so it doesn't know where it's going to be shipped to because they're in the wrong site. So I usually refer them to that fact, or I'll say, well, put the item in your cart and see if you can find the shipping. Usually the shipping shows up right on the listing, but if he's in the wrong country, or at least in the wrong eBay site for his country, then he probably can't see the shipping. So I usually refer them to that, and they can move on from there because I participate in the global shipping program, so I can ship anywhere in the world. eBay handles all of the details, such as the customs forms and any other details, the taxes, the VAT taxes, and things like that. So that was really on him, and I haven't heard from him yet since, and which is good because my Spanish is non-existent really. So we're going to move on to the next question now. This next one was not really a question, but it's part of customer service. I did get a request from a customer not to include any paperwork like an invoice or a receipt or anything with the package, which I normally don't do unless they request one. But in this case, she asked me not to put anything, and I responded to her that I don't normally put it in. The item she was buying was a gift for somebody else, and I said, well, why don't you, if you want, I can put in a card saying if the gift is from you, if you just tell me what you want on the card, and then I can include that in there with it. And a lot of people wouldn't go to this trouble to do something like this, but I'm kind of hoping that she'll be a repeat customer, maybe leave some positive feedback. It's really nothing off me, doesn't add any cost to me. I had extra cards around and was able to insert that in there for her. I did make sure I had my wife print it out for me so it looked nice. And some people will even ask, why do you even bother answering questions like these or responding to their requests? And it's just because you want to have good relationships with your customers. It doesn't really cost you anything. It's part of doing business. You want to make sure that you're establishing yourself as having a good relationship with them. Because if for some reason down the road, let's say there's an issue with the item, they'd like to return it or something like that, you've already established yourself as someone who's willing to work with them, and it can usually go well. Because I've even had people return things to me, but give me positive feedback and say, hey, this didn't work out for me. but I was able to return it without any problems. And even though they weren't happy with the product necessarily or had to return it, they still gave me positive feedback. So you have to keep those kinds of things in mind. So let's take a look at one last one. I like the hat, but shipping sucks. The hat came crushed flat and wrinkled. Had to iron it for 20 minutes to halfway make it look okay. Not happy with this purchase. Now I'm going to read you the response that I sent to the purchaser of, this was a hat. It's like a baseball hat. And it says, hello, I'm sorry to hear about the shipping issues. Please contact me if you're unhappy with your purchase, and I can send you another hat shipped in a box if you prefer. Now, I never did hear back from them. They didn't request a return or anything like that. They wanted to keep the hat clearly, but they wanted to kind of vent that they didn't like how it was shipped. And, when I received these hats, they came shipped flat like that. And I was just sending them out exactly as they were. But, if that was the issue, I'd be happy to send them. Luckily, I had another one. I could have sent him that one and, maybe resolve the issue. But he went right to the comments. He put that in as a comment and gave me, I think this was negative feedback because he didn't like the way that it was shipped. And I could have easily resolved the issue outside of feedback for him, but no, they went right to that. He never did contact me before. He just put negative feedback down. And that does happen sometimes. But luckily, you now have the ability to reply to the feedback. And so that was the reply on there. I said, hey, if you would have let me know, I would have been happy to send you a replacement, or we could work on a refund or something like that. It wasn't a very expensive item. So those kinds of things happen. And now I kind of lied to you. I have actually one more I wanted to share with you. And this was a very positive one that happened to me. It was about a woman and she lives in California. I live in Michigan, so it's kind of far to ship these things. But she had bought a embroidery machine from me, which was quite heavy. And I think it weighed in at around, with the case and everything and all the accessories, about 40 pounds. As for embroidering T-shirts, with names and things like that. And when I noticed that eBay had calculated the shipping, it was way too high, way overcharged her for the shipping. And I was able to offer her a $50 refund on the shipping. I said, hey, they way overcharge you for this. I'm going to refund you $50 to compensate you because I didn't really feel it was necessary to make that big of a profit on the shipping. I've been making a, $80, $90 profit, something like that on the shipping. And so I had to refund some of the money to her. And she was so excited about this that she actually made me a couple of hand towels embroidered with my, the first letter of her last name on the towels, which was very nice. And of course, they didn't go with any of the how our bathrooms and all that were decorated. So, but it was just a nice gesture, that she'd done all that work and then shipped it out to me and everything. So the positive things do happen when you're good to your customers. You don't want them to walk over you. You don't want to just cave on everything, of course, But you do have to look at each item and say, hey, seems pretty reasonable. I think I can deal with this. You don't want to be confrontational. We're not going to call people names. None of those kinds of things. You're not going to point out, like, oh, clearly you should have seen this in the description. Very few people really read the descriptions that you put in there. And that's why eBay has started putting a line right at the top of the listing where it says condition. You can type in the condition right in there. And hopefully they're thinking that maybe people would read that, more likely read that than they would in the description. It doesn't really help. They still don't read any of those kinds of things. So you do have to kind of remember that some of the things that you're going to be returning or accepting returns is just part of doing business. Some percentage of your business is going to be returns, and you just have to kind of accept that's how it goes with it. It's just like if you were to return something to Amazon or Target or something like that. They accept the returns. They know a percentage of those are going to be returns. And unlike Amazon and other companies, they just don't, we would normally, if it came back in good condition, there's nothing wrong with it, that we would then go ahead and just restock it and sell it again. But they actually end up selling it off in large pallets and to things like Amazon and return stores where they have, bins and bins of things that you can plow through and buy that people have returned. So there's ways of handling comments and criticism and returns without being confrontational with other people. I suggest that's how you handle your business. And if you do get stuck and you're not sure, if someone's asked you something weird, and this does happen, there are people that scam on eBay for whatever reason. I've had people try to scam me out of an item that cost $9.95, something on there. I don't normally sell things for that cheap, but this thing was selling for $9.95. I didn't know how else to get rid of it, so I put it up there for that price. And they sent it back to me. It clearly was the wrong thing, but he said, oh, there's something wrong with this. He sent me back it was a G.I. Joe, one of the small G.I. Joe figure guys. And it was broken. When I sent it to him, there's nothing wrong with it, but he sent it back like that. So I'm not sure what happened with it. He probably sent me his broken one and he kept the good one. And that kind of stuff happens. People try to scam you. You can't let them walk over you on that kind of thing. But in the case of that, was it really worth going through all that for, $10? No, it wasn't. That'll happen. But I've had other times when I sold something. It was a video circuit board, a video card for a computer. And the guy said, no, I don't think I want it anymore. He sent me back his old one. So he kept the newer one that he bought from me, and he sent back the old one. And so I contacted eBay and said, hey, this guy's trying to scam me out of this. This is not the same one. And so eventually they sided with me and they said, yeah, you can't, he's either has to send that one back to me or, I'm not going to accept this, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to refund him his money. So we ended up winning that one, but it was, sometimes you have to fight those kinds of things. But anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. If you have any questions or there's a topic you'd like me to cover, feel free to put it in the comments, and I always read all my comments. And then I'll see if we can maybe make a video about the topic that you had or a question I can answer for you. Maybe we'll just have a question and answer video one day. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you have the time to subscribe. I'll be putting out some new content probably about once a week on different topics about selling online, and hopefully it's something that can help you out.